The school beauty has been missing all winter. Come spring, the snowman in front of the dormitory began to bleed. When it completely melted, a head rolled out. Its face was crushed, its eyes were gouged out, unrecognizable, but on its ears was a pair of pearl earrings, the same pair that the school beauty Lucy often wore. The eyes of that snowman belong to Lucy. To listen to the whole story, please find the YouTube channel, The Submerged Archives. Thanks, guys. After the first snow of the season, it was there, standing right across from the dormitory. Amidst the cold of the Arctic, it did not melt at all. Just smiled at us all winter. Everyone in the room had taken a photo with it, but Lucy's head was hidden in it. No one noticed. The last time she appeared was the night before the snow fell. Surveillance cameras captured her turning into a blind spot and never coming out again. The next morning, the snowman appeared, but the camera did not record anyone other than Lucy. Did she cut off her own head, gouge out her eyes, and build a snowman herself? The police looked at me meaningfully. Any normal person knows that it is ridiculous. The eyes are Lucy's most beautiful feature. It was those eyes that called me back that day. Panic engulfed her beautiful pupils. Long eyelashes trembled constantly. Tears welled in her eyes and were about to fall. "Luna, there is someone in the dormitory who wants to kill me." She shrugged, trembling. I laughed in my heart. There were 6 people in the room, and besides me, the other 4 were bullied by her to the point that they didn't dare to breathe loudly. Who dares to kill her? Thinking so, my face darkened. She must be kidding me. But that look of fear did not change. She bowed her head, scratching her nails non-stop, biting her lips lightly. Someone really wants to kill me. The tone is very firm. I frowned. Did she bully people so much that they went crazy? She shook her head repeatedly, her face pale. I know something I shouldn't know. Then she packed her bags and left, never returning to the dormitory again. Before leaving, she said she would find somewhere to hide and advised me to be careful. This dorm has too many secrets that can't be told. Don't trust anyone easily. After she left, her friends kept updating her status. It looked more like she was traveling than running away. At that time, I was sure I was fooled by her. The others in the room also said that it was a relief that she wasn't here. The snow outside had been cleared, the sunlight shining down. Dark traces on the ground could be clearly seen. Lucy's blood soaked into the snow left behind. She was really killed. She once said she knew something she shouldn't know. In the dormitory, a total of 6 people. Besides Lucy, there was also a dead person named Annie. The rest were Carmen, Sunny, and Fiona. Carmen is Lucy's henchman. She orders her around every day, even making her eat leftovers. Sunny is Lucy's high school friend. Average appearance. She was once rejected when she confessed to the male god in school. That matter was made a joke by Lucy all year long. As for Fiona, her poor student allowance was taken by Lucy. At that time, Lucy poured a basin of foot washing water on her and loudly said, "Are you discriminating against the poor by not being able to use branded goods?" Everyone has their reasons to hate Lucy, but is that enough to kill someone? When Fiona returned from the police station, she looked very tired and plopped down on the bed. Everyone is scared. I didn't know what to say, so I just stood up and poured her a glass of warm water. As she passed by, she suddenly said, "I once saw an electric saw in Carmen's closet." I was stunned. She meant that Lucy's head was cut off by Carmen with a saw. But in the dormitory, there was no way to use something that made such a loud noise without being discovered. I looked at her suspiciously. Fiona continued, "Do you know how Annie died?" My heart sank. It was a secret that everyone knew. The school had two areas connected by a dark and remote tunnel called Raven Road. Every few years, a female student walking alone at night would be followed by strange men. Then, to silence her, the school would promise her a spot in graduate school, and the story died down. Last fall, Annie was also accepted. Then she jumped from the lecture hall rooftop. But what did this have to do with Carmen? Fiona saw my confusion and slowly told a truth that few people knew. That day, Carmen lured her to the east area. I was startled, but thinking back, it made sense. Annie was very cautious. How could she go that way at night, let alone alone? The more I thought about it, the more confused I became. Why did Carmen do that? And her death? What does it have to do with Lucy? Lucy knew the truth about Annie's death, so she was killed. After Fiona finished saying that, she suddenly revealed a strange smile. "Now you and I both know that secret. Tell me, who do you think Carmen will kill first?" As soon as she finished speaking, she suddenly fell silent and stared at the door. The doorknob was slowly lowered. Someone was standing outside. I held my breath instinctively. After a few seconds of silence, the door opened. Carmen walked in. Fiona signaled me and then pressed herself against the wall to leave the dormitory. I stiffened and was about to follow, but what I just heard made my fear surge. I staggered and almost fell. Carmen reached out to support me. Her fingers were cold. The coldness started to spread from my wrist to my whole body. Just as I was about to pull my hand back, she suddenly grabbed me tightly and leaned close to my ear and whispered, "Luna, do you know? It was Sunny who killed Lucy." Fear made my throat dry. I stared blankly at her mouth moving. She asked me the same question that Fiona had asked me. "Do you know how Annie died?" I tried to force myself to stay awake and asked cautiously, "Could it be that Sunny lured her to the East District?" She frowned at me for a moment and then shook her head. "I don't know that." I panicked even more. Her next words doubled the fear. "It was Sunny who pushed her down. Lucy was killed because she knew about this." I feel like I'm stuck in a swamp of thoughts. The more I want to find the truth, the deeper I sink. Fiona said the culprit was Carmen, but Carmen said it was Sunny. So if Sunny comes back, who will she point out? Luna? A strange loop is forming. Now, we know. Who do you think Sunny will kill first? Carmen chuckled softly. At that moment, the door was pushed open by someone. Sunny stood at the door, panting. Carmen immediately withdrew her smile. Like Fiona, she pressed herself against the wall and left the dormitory. I stared at Sunny, waiting for her to come closer and tell me the secret she knew. But she stood still, looking at me in panic, her voice trembling. "Luna, just now Carmen and Fiona had a car accident at the school gate. She said the ambulance arrived when they were dead, and finally the hearse came to take the bodies away." "What nonsense are you talking about? Carmen just went out right in front of you." I screamed, scared to the point of near madness. Sunny looked at me with a puzzled appearance. "What are you talking about?" She said I was alone in the room. I pushed her away and ran straight downstairs. What the hell is going on? Why is everyone so weird? I rushed out to find the truth. The dormitory has 3 floors. I counted the steps silently. But after 3 laps, I was faced with a white wall. On the wall hung a sign with a glaring number. I was led by the devil. I didn't give up, continued going down, but finally I still stopped at the 3rd floor. I am trapped in this building. Only then did I realize how eerily quiet the building was. There is no one else, just me. I ran back to the dorm like crazy. My hallway was pitch black, only my room had the light on. I stopped at the door and did not go in immediately. Pressing my ear to the door, I heard voices from inside. It was Carmen and Fiona's voices. Remembering what Sunny had just said, they died in an accident, I withdrew my hand. But it was too late. The door was pulled open by someone. Carmen held the water jug and crashed into me. Her complexion looked terrible, as if she was burdened by something. Fiona was lying face down on the bed, seemingly crying. I tried to act like I knew nothing and asked softly, "Where is Sunny?" The crying on the bed stopped. Fiona raised her face, her eyes filled with tears as she looked at me. "She's dead, don't you know?" Carmen added. "This afternoon she had an accident at the school gate. When the ambulance arrived, she was dead. The hearse took her away." After a few seconds of silence, she muttered again, "There's something wrong with our dormitory." Having said that, Carmen carried the water jug and left the room to go to the bathroom. Even in the darkness, she walked quickly and steadily, disappearing from my sight in the blink of an eye. Fiona also wiped her tears and picked up the water bottle. "I'll go get some hot water. Luna, you stay careful." Just like Carmen, she walked very skillfully in the dark corridor. I stood there in disbelief. Sunny said Carmen and Fiona were dead, but they said the dead person was Sunny. Who is telling the truth after all? While I was thinking, the door opened again. It was Sunny. She walked in carrying a bag of food. "Luna, have you eaten yet? Come here and eat something." There was a pattering of rain outside and the bag in her hand was full of water. She can go out. Also, it seems like the three of them have never appeared together at the same time. I glanced down at the floor. Under the dim light, Sunny's shadow stretched on the ground. "You die without a shadow." Thinking so, I breathed a sigh of relief. Hunger struck and I began to help her take out the food. As soon as I picked up the first bag, I panicked and threw it back, then took several steps back. This snack shop closed down a month ago. I trembled as I looked at the expiration date. As expected, it had expired in more than 20 days. "Sunny, when did you buy this?" She raised her head, but her eyes were glued to the ground. "Just bought it." Then she tore open the packaging, stood up, and walked towards me. "Luna, you try it. It's delicious." I looked at the moldy duck bone, scared, and turned away. But the dormitory is so small, there is basically no place to hide. I tried to crawl up to the top bunk. Sunny held the bone and walked around on the ground. I groped around the bed for something to protect myself. Under the pillow, I touched a thin, cold object. It is a strange-looking phone unlike anyone else in the room. I tried to unlock without a password. It showed a social network interface. At the top, it showed a deleted status line. I clicked to edit a few photos and it showed a photo of Lucy at the beach. Along with the caption, "Early Spring, Watching the Sea," I opened the photo album full of photos of Lucy. These are the photos posted during the time she was missing. So someone took her account and pretended to be her to update her status. There are still some unfinished drafts saved in the photo editing application. I realized those photos were Lucy's face superimposed onto the bodies of girls with similar body shapes. Before I could check for any other clues, Sunny suddenly climbed onto the top bunk. But she didn't climb normally with her hands and feet, but kept her back straight as if she were walking on flat ground. Step by step to the bed. I didn't have time to think much. I moved to the end of the bed farthest from the ladder and jumped down. Sunny heard the noise and turned in my direction. I put my phone in my pocket, quickly opened the door and rushed out. The moment the door closed, a detail flashed through my mind that made my heart clench. The top bunk was mine. And the reason the other phone could unlock so easily, it seemed, was not because there was no password, but because it recognized my fingerprint. In a blind panic, I just ran like crazy in the dark hallway. There were clearly only a few dozen meters of corridor, but I couldn't run to the end. Suddenly, a brightly lit room appeared in front of me. An ominous premonition arose in my heart. I looked closer, and sure enough, it was room 316. The room that should have been behind me was now in front of me. I immediately turned around and ran away, but the door was opened. "Why don't you come in?" It was Carmen. Luckily, it wasn't Sunny, so she wasn't in there. I tried to muster up the courage to step in. Fiona was already asleep, and on Carmen's pillow was an open book. "I'll study a few pages and then go to sleep. You should go to sleep early too." I asked cautiously, "Sunny?" Carmen's face immediately changed as if she was unhappy. "You find it strange that we're acting like nothing happened, right? But I told you, now that she's dead, it's all over." I remembered what Carmen said, that it was Sunny who killed Lucy and Annie and would most likely continue to kill one of us or all of us. "Have you told the police about that?" I still felt something was wrong, but Carmen didn't reply anymore, turned off the light with a click, and very quickly started snoring. I had no choice but to climb into bed in the dark, pull the blanket over my head, quietly take out the other phone, and continue searching for clues. This phone was indeed logging into Lucy's chat account, but all the messages had been deleted. Right at that moment, a new message appeared. That comment that didn't earn enough money to pay off her mother's debt and died. The sender was my mother. I let out a soft sigh. Even though Lucy was beautiful and was called the school's beauty, she still couldn't escape the fate of being exploited and looked down upon by her biological mother, who preferred boys over girls. I intended to open the notes section to see what information there was, because people usually wrote important things there. But as soon as I returned to the main screen, a new message appeared. I thought it was another curse from her mother, but when I opened the message list, my pupils suddenly contracted. This message came from Annie. "Why weren't you the one who died?" She sent exactly that sentence. My hands trembled, replying with a bunch of question marks. "Who are you?" But only a red exclamation mark icon appeared and was blocked. I don't know why I felt extremely regretful. I closed the chat and opened the notes section. Inside were many folders, all named with letters. The first folder was Annie. At first I thought this was a name, but then I realized it was the abbreviation of Annie's name. Inside were a few photos. The first one was a screenshot of a transfer. The recipient is Connor. This name is so familiar. I closed my eyes and tried to remember who it was, but thinking about it gave me a headache and I still couldn't remember. I zoomed out the photo. As soon as the photo shrunk, I glanced at the name of the person who transferred the money. Impossible. I choked, quickly threw off the blanket, and gasped for air. Just as I calmed down a bit, I heard a loud thumping sound. The sound came from right under my bed. I bent down and used the weak light from my phone to shine down. "Fiona, what are you doing?" I could only vaguely see her two hands scratching and rummaging for something. "Yeah, I can't put it in anymore." Her voice was mumbling incoherently. The sound made me restless, so I turned on the bedside lamp and shined it down on the bed below. Fiona was mechanically stuffing her own intestines into her stomach. The intestines were slippery and bloody all over the bed. Her head shook, as if she had no more strength to support herself, and blood was dripping from the corner of her mouth. In a blink, I remembered what Sunny said. Fiona and Carmen died in a car accident, and her current appearance was like she had been run over by a car, right? I screamed and rolled out of bed, not even putting on my shoes, rushing straight towards the door. When I opened the door, the scene in front of my eyes made me scream even more. A headless body, wearing a polka dot dress, stood at the door with her arms crossed behind her. This dress was the one Lucy had worn the day she disappeared. I couldn't form a sentence, trembling as I exclaimed, "Lucy, aren't you dead?" A man laughed loudly behind the headless body, with his arms crossed behind him, and in his hand was a human head. A white pearl earring shined strangely. "That head is Lucy." Her mouth moved. "Luna, you can fool us, but don't fool yourself. My name is Lucy. I'm a psychiatrist." Luna, my university classmate, is now my patient. What you just read above is the chaotic and absurd story she often mentioned during the treatment. After many years of not seeing each other, I never expected that she would deceive herself to the point of altering her memories like that. And this is the truth of the story. 12 years ago, I eagerly entered the university lecture hall to study my favorite major, philosophy. There were a total of 6 people in our dormitory. All of them were girls from the literature department with a gentle appearance and a gentle heart. When we first met, I happily thought that everyone would be lovable and easy to get along with. I never expected that there was one person who had malice towards me from the very beginning. That person was Luna. To be exact, she had malice towards all the 5 of the other people in the dormitory. It was just that Luna was good at hiding it. She cleverly hid the malice in her heart and did not reveal it. But she still revealed a lot of flaws. In the room, there is a girl named Carmen, a bit introverted, not very talkative. One time when Carmen wasn't there, we discussed trying to get her to go out with us more so she'd be less shy. Luna immediately volunteered, "Let me call someone while we eat." But that night, after eating with Luna, Carmen returned with a heavy and sad expression. The lights were off, so I texted her, "Carmen, what's wrong? Is something wrong?" She replied, "I know everyone means well. I'm poor, but there's no need to force me to eat leftovers, right?" I had to coax her a few words, thinking that maybe Carmen was being too sensitive. It wasn't until a few days later that I accidentally saw Luna's diary. Carmen was like a pitiful dog. I beckoned her to come crawling over. Obviously, she didn't want to eat my leftovers, but she didn't dare refuse. That's right. She was a dog, a country dog that grew up eating leftovers. Even though these lines weren't aimed at me, reading them still felt glaring. I took the diary and went to find her. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to read your diary, but isn't this a bit too much?" She didn't refute, just looked up at me with a pitiful, innocent look. "Sorry, I was just writing for fun. I won't write anymore." With such a sincere apology, it was hard for me to be serious, so I turned around and left with an embarrassed look. Vaguely, I still heard her muttering behind her back, "This room will gouge out your eyes sooner or later." I turned around and saw that she still had the same frightened and confused look as before. I thought I must have heard wrong. There was a girl named Sunny in the room who was Luna's high school classmate. When Sunny wasn't around, Luna loved to tell us stories from high school, especially about Sunny chasing after the school's male god. Even though she didn't say anything too outrageous, her eyes and tone were full of mockery. After telling the story, she even took out a photo of that male god and passed it around for us to see. After seeing it, she tried to act funny, winking and asking, "What do you guys think?" I know what she's waiting for, but we were all shy. No one joined in. I just said blandly, "Sunny also has courage. Daring to pursue the person you like is good." Her face immediately darkened. There was a bit of resentment in her eyes. Then, as I was going by, I clearly heard her mumble a venomous sentence. "Green tea." This time, I'm sure I didn't hear wrong. But what made me think more was why it took her only 3 seconds to find that male god's photo. A long time later, I learned the truth. Sunny said that she had never pursued that male god. On the contrary, she had helped Luna send him a love letter, but after seeing the sender's name, that male god immediately threw it in the trash. Probably because she was holding resentment in her heart, she changed her character and told us that story in the role of Sunny. And she did things like that many times. We all saw clearly what Sunny and Carmen had gone through.
On the outside, they couldn't argue loudly, but in their hearts, everyone was gradually distancing themselves from Luna. Perhaps she also realized it, but instead of taking it back, she became even more insecure.
Fiona and Carmen both had difficult circumstances, and Fiona was even worse. When there was only one scholarship for students with special difficulties, everyone implicitly understood that it was for Fiona. But on the day of announcement, the person chosen was Luna. The reason was that she was an orphan. But on the day of enrollment, I saw with my own eyes a middle-aged woman take her to school. She called that person her mother. Fiona later went to verify and discovered that her parents had indeed passed away the year before. So who was that woman? Not long after, the subsidy was transferred to Luna, and she used the money to buy a designer bag. That amount of money was enough for Fiona to live on for an entire semester. She was angry and went to report it. That day in the dormitory, the two of them had a big argument. Luna was soaking her feet, looking lazy, but as soon as she heard the phone call from the academic advisor, her face immediately darkened. She stood up and threw a bucket of water at Fiona. Then the plastic bottle was smashed. She pointed at the drenched Fiona like she was crazy. Poor students can't use high-quality bags. You country bumpkin only know how to be jealous, always doing low-class things. People like you will never be able to get better in your whole life. At that time, all of us stood on Fiona's side and scolded Luna a few sentences. We hurriedly dried ourselves while Fiona mopped the floor and cleaned up the broken pieces. As for Luna, she stood there coldly staring at us. When everything was cleaned up, Fiona also calmed down. Everyone turned off the lights and went to bed. Just when I was about to fall asleep, I heard Luna say a sentence without any emotion, but full of certainty. All of you must die. If not for what happened later, that sentence might have come true. After the conflict with Fiona, Luna was good for a few days and even tried to make up with everyone. She bought cake to apologize to Fiona and even took the initiative to return the allowance. After that, she began to indulge everyone in the room, breaking the ice step by step. That day, she gave me a ticket to a lecture in the East District. The lecture was by my favorite philosophy professor, and it had to be booked in advance and was very difficult to buy. I tried hard, but couldn't get one. It was just a pity that the lecture was held in the evening and had to pass through the famous Raven Road. Luna said, "It's okay, I'll go with you." So I happily accepted the ticket. Unexpectedly, that evening, my grandmother went on a business trip through the city where I was studying and called me out to dinner. After I entered school, I never saw my family again. Compared to the talk show I had been looking forward to for so long, meeting my father once was obviously much more important. So I transferred the ticket to Annie. I could not have imagined that this action would push her into a bottomless pit. When I received my father's call, there was only half an hour left before the seminar started. Unable to contact Luna, Annie understood and told me to quickly go see my father, while she would call Luna herself to go together. Unexpectedly, no one could contact Luna that day. Annie had no choice but to go to the seminar venue alone. Perhaps she still had a glimmer of hope. But what if this is not a coincidence, but a deliberate trap? After what happened, we all tried to comfort Annie, but especially me. The feeling of guilt almost overwhelmed me. Everyone overlooked one detail. Where did Luna go that day? It was not until the police caught the rapist. His name was Connor. That day, a policeman came to the dormitory and asked us where Luna and Annie had gone. They said they discovered a money transfer into Connor's account, sent by Luna. They suspect this is not a simple rape, but a planned murder. The mastermind is most likely Luna. Hearing this, my back turned cold. Her initial target was me. That night, she also gave me a glowing keychain, saying she would wear one too, so when it's dark, we can still see each other from afar. Then I gave the keychain and the seminar ticket to Annie. It is clearly a sign to identify the target. After that, no one could contact Luna, and Annie also went missing. At that time, I thought if her target was me, then Annie's disappearance probably had nothing to do with her. Just as I was starting to feel relieved, Sunny suddenly ran back to the dormitory screaming. Luna pushed Annie down from the rooftop. I ran to the lecture hall, which was packed with people. I had a hard time getting to the front. Luna was restrained. Poor Annie had a white towel covering her body. As she passed me, she suddenly screamed hysterically, "You guys are disgusting. She's even more disgusting. Why did she seduce my boyfriend?" Later, we learned that at the seminar that day, a young man sitting next to Annie fell in love with her at first sight, and that guy is the person Luna secretly loves. That night, no one in the dormitory could sleep. We couldn't understand why someone living in the same room as us would hide a demon. After Luna was arrested, we found a notebook in the room. It's a death note. Inside was a detailed record of the route of destruction she had planned for each one of us, even ranking it in order. I am the first. The plan was for me to walk through Raven Road and be ruined in a rape, unable to look up at anyone again. But because of a mistake, the one who got into trouble was Annie. She also listed the turns around the school that did not have surveillance cameras, planning to quickly learn to drive and then hit and kill us. "Hit those dikes. Face bruised, blood flowing from 7 orifices," she wrote so. What hurt me the most was that out of all 5 of them, Annie was the one who had the least conflict with her. In that death note, Annie was originally ranked last. Compared to the bloody endings of others, she only intended to put a few fried fish in Annie's cup of water. Even though she hasn't done anything to anger me, I still have to teach her a lesson first. Perhaps because she discovered that the person she secretly liked loved Annie, Annie's name was circled in red. Surrounded by the words death that she wrote, the pen force was so strong that it penetrated the paper. Fear, regret, panic, all sorts of emotions rushed through. In the end, we could only comfort each other. Luna was arrested, everything was over. But then another news came. Luna had a mental illness. She is not legally responsible for Annie's death. Before the end of the second semester of my first year, I took a leave of absence. I went back to high school, restudied to take the university entrance exam again. I want to be a psychiatrist. 8 years of college and graduate school, plus 2 years of internship. It took me 10 years. And I finally stood in front of Luna again. Now, we are no longer classmates or roommates, but doctor and patient. She was really messed up and blamed everything she did on me. In her imagination, she is an innocent white lotus, and I am a scheming fox. Her thoughts were mixed with truth and falsehood, unable to distinguish. Maybe in her mind, if she just imagined differently, the truth would be hidden, and she would be washed clean. But after digging deeper, I discovered 2 more secrets that had been puzzling us all for years. One, she was not an orphan. The woman we met in college is her biological mother. But when she was little, her mother sold her to a childless couple. The biological mother did not like, even hated her for not accepting her child back. So for a long time, Luna was a legal orphan. 2, we almost died many times. She has drugged the dormitory water more than once. But luckily, we detected a strange smell, so we changed the water tank and escaped. She pushed the flower pot down from the balcony many times while we were drying blankets below. But because the angle was off, it only fell close to our feet and no one was injured. The day she pushed Annie down from the rooftop, she even prepared gasoline and matches. If Connor had not been arrested, the entire dormitory would have probably been reduced to ashes in a sea of fire. And she wrote all of this down in great detail in the notes section of her phone. Even kept a photo of the receipt for the purchase of the crime tools. My colleague said it was because she impersonated me, gathering evidence to drag me down to hell. But I think it's a manifestation of extreme narcissism. She was enjoying her own crimes, feeling satisfied that she could make us live in fear, just like murderers always like to return to the scene to admire their masterpiece. Actually, I discovered a third thing. Luna has recovered. Her gaze towards me changed from vague unfamiliarity at first to fear, trembling, and even provocation. She recognized me. She quickly filed a request to change her treating physician and passed the rehabilitation assessment. The hospital informed her relatives that her biological mother came to pick her up and discharge her from the hospital. After Annie's death, her biological mother was forced to appear and take on the role of guardian. During that time, I received numerous anonymous threatening messages. The old story is not finished yet. Now it can be continued. You think you're beautiful? Without these eyes, would you still be beautiful? Do you know how long it takes to saw off a human head? It's okay. I'll let you know soon. You know, right? My illness can relapse at any time. If you kill someone while sick, you won't go to jail. I curled my lips, quietly reading each message. Well, then just wait and see. Immediately after discharge, her mother did not come to the ward, only said that a 7-seat nanny car was waiting downstairs. It was obvious she was anxious to leave this place. Just finish the procedure, carry luggage, and run straight downstairs. The door was already open, as if welcoming her to step out freely. She jumped into the car without a doubt, and then her face changed color. Why you? Of course it's me. For the past 10 years, I have lived for this moment. Take her out of the small cage and put her in an even bigger one. Mother, Luna only needs 30,000 yuan. She is truly an exemplary mother. At this moment, she still did not realize anything. On the contrary, she laughed arrogantly. Lucy, my mental illness might relapse. It's not illegal if I get sick and kill someone. As soon as she finished speaking, she realized that there were more than just the two of us in the car. She turned around, panicked, pulled the car door open, and was about to run. But it's too late. I locked the door long ago. Moreover, the person sitting behind had already rushed forward, using all his strength to hold her tight. I calmly turned the steering wheel and slowly drove away from the hospital. Luna, I guess we don't need to introduce ourselves anymore, right? She should recognize them. I looked in the rearview mirror, glancing at the 3 people sitting in the passenger seat and the back seat. They were her college roommates, Carmen, Sunny, and Fiona. What do you want to do? She struggled madly, wanting to escape from the hand that was holding her. Don't waste your energy. Sunny knows martial arts. She alone is strong enough to take down 3 people like you. The car drove straight to a self-built house in the village. The villagers only knew that there were 4 strange women who were old maids who refused to get married. But they didn't know that from today onwards, it would be hell on earth for Luna. It was getting dark, and finally, the car arrived. When no one was looking, we brought her into the house. She looked around panicked and screamed madly. I smiled at her. Scream. Even if your throat is sore, it's useless. The house is thickly soundproofed, so even if you play dance music all night long, no one will hear. Exhausted from screaming, she sat down against the wall, her eyes still glaring at me. I looked back and smiled lightly. Luna, do you know why I became a psychiatrist? Because I want to cure you. I want you to be sober and face the rest of your life. Stay awake to endure the pain. Stay awake to swallow every drop of resentment, but have nowhere to put it. I called the other three over. We were like 4 mountains standing in front of her. As you can see, Sunny is a wrestler. Carmen is currently a surgeon. Fiona is a lawyer. Thanks to you, we destroyed and rebuilt our lives. Sunny taught us basic self-defense techniques. Even though we were not yet professionals, it was not difficult to catch someone who wanted to run away and make them taste pain. Fiona skillfully guides us through the legal gray area. Don't ask why. Just that we're taking care of an old friend who has violent tendencies and a recurring mental illness. As for Carmen, she understands the human body better than anyone. Where it is cut will hurt, but not dead. No one is better than her. Can be perfectly sewn after cutting. Luna killed someone, and we carried a murder for the rest of our lives, so heavy that it could not be removed. Our lives from the moment we met in room 316 had no way back. The north wind howled, rapping loudly at the window. It's snowing again. Thank you for listening to the story with the Submerged Archives. If you find it interesting, please give us a like and a channel subscription.